So I've been fiddling around with Wild Blue Yonder over here. I want to start the first campaign. The easiest of the campaigns, as listed here, is the Rommel Attacks. I found the card for it. I look at the card. There is no rules for it, other than the campaign, the land campaign rules. And honestly, from what I read in there, I didn't feel at all comfortable looking at this, understanding it, but I think I've been able to figure it out. First of all, we have a campaign sequence of play. Draw an action card to determine a mission. Each player secretly selects one resource. Players receive resources selected and draw for air crews. Conduct the mission. Determine victory points. Determine campaign performance. That all sounds easy. And yeah, I get it. Okay. What do I have? Well, resources are spelled out here as to what's available. Now, from what I can understand for resources, and I don't have a place to mark off the resources or anything that I've chosen, but I can put the number of the resource here. I have a BF-110C. Then it has these 3 stages. I'm guessing that means that there's 3 different missions. I don't know. Again, it really was not at all clear to me from what I read. We look at this, campaign missions. It's not here. Land campaigns. It doesn't really tell me much here about how this is divided up, and different cards are different. I don't know how many scenarios I've got. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. Sounds like I should be doing you know, one fight in each. But I'm not at all sure. Now, it's pretty clear to me that I can't do more than, say, 3 fights in a stage, because stage 1 would use this first resource up here, and then these next 2 resources. That would leave 3 for stage 2, but then stage 3 has like 6. Do I use all my resources? Do I just do 3 missions? I don't know. And if I look through this, I don't have anything that seems to tell me how many stages I need to fight. I read up here, and this is all just historical. There is nothing here that talks about any of it. So I don't know. I've got 10 days here, 7 days here, and then 13 days here, I guess. I may be off by 1, right? Yeah, this is 1 to 10. This would be 8 more. I look over here, and there's 6 missions here. Does that mean 2 per stage? What am I supposed to do? Well, there is no guidance. There is no guidance. So I'm still kind of confused. I guess I'm just going to do it in 3 missions. 1 for each stage. And that's all I'm going to care about. Does that make sense? I don't know, because, you know, obviously I'm going to pick my best resources in that case, right? I'm not going to pick this BF-110C up here. I'm going to pick one with one of these extra galls. That doesn't seem right either, right? None of this seems to make any fucking sense to me in terms of what I've got. Let's look at the resource selection thing. By the way, the reason I'm down here, my internet is so fucked. And it's like, yeah, it's been screwy, like it was screwy Sunday night for a while. Then Monday, right in the evening, it had a couple of blips. I think that was the day they were supposed to work on it. Okay. And then today, as soon as like 5:30 p.m. started, it's been up and down. And you would think that, like, That means you're going to get more time to like fuck around and do other stuff. But it doesn't. It's just like when my internet or something would go wrong at work and go down and I couldn't get any work done. I'm just constantly checking, and I'm like wasting resources in RAID because I can't log in, and it's really stressing me out and whatever. You know, all unreasonable shit. But it completely bothers me. So after the mission target is determined, it talks about this. It doesn't talk about stages. The last mission of the campaign, again, it doesn't talk, nowhere does it say anything about what a stage is. So let's look in the index. Maybe the index has stages. No, of course not. So, you know, I mean, this could just be one run, and I could pick from any of these resources. It could be that I should stay in stage 1 and do the 3 missions there, or do stage 2 and do 4 missions there, or whatever. None of this is absolutely clear, and there is no explanation. This is one of the real problems with these campaign cards. The campaign cards and the campaign rules. And you might say, well, you skipped over some of the stuff. Yeah, but there's no stuff for Rommel attacks. This is like a basic land campaign. It should fucking tell me what I'm doing here. And you can see how good my printer is. Okay, so I draw an action card to determine the mission. Kind of doesn't matter who it is. It does specifically. I don't want to reshuffle the decks. I'm going to shuffle them completely at the start of each mission, I guess, but I fucking want to shuffle these as little as possible because they're these armored cards. So I get an In My Sights card. This number I don't think matters. I look for it. In My Sights, 1 burst, stage 1, and I think I'm going to do 1 from each stage, as I said. This is going to be mission 1, which I can see here in terms of like on the map if I want to see what's going on. It's of no real matter to the game. This is going to be Via Balbia, and it's ground forces 3A. So I look for card 3A. It's going to be a ground forces military target. Okay. I am going to get for free, I guess for the Germans, they're the ones who are going to be doing this, a Junkers 87B at an altitude of my choice, and then I secretly select a resource to protect it. Now remember, I can only use each resource once. Now conceivably, I could be doing like, I don't know, like a large number of missions total, right? And again, I don't believe there's anywhere where it talks about this, where it tells you how many missions you fight. Now, so conceivably, I could be doing 6 missions at stage 1, only 3 of which I'm allowed to bring a resource in for. I don't know what my other card draws are going to be. I really, you know what? I honestly, I think that's actually what I'm supposed to do, to tell you the truth, because the resources should be weakened. Okay, so let me find that plane. Now, unfortunately, my decision to align the planes by their dates that can't be right. What the fuck? These are like March 43. I don't know, my cards are fucking in the wrong order. I must have done something screwy with them. Because this is like July 43, I don't know. My decision to sort by date, which made sense to me in the concept of, you know, hey, I'm in a certain period, I want to be able to get to that period and find the planes within it. but there is no date here. Now, I know approximately the date. It's March of 41, so I know what it's got to be, but now my sorting's fucked up. See, now here, I reordered my planes. I found the Yonder 87Bs, which are B/R. They could be either one. Got myself, it's an Element, right? I think so. I think it's an Element, but I'm not positive of that. Yeah, leader wing, and not no section. That's what that means. But I found here, in a land campaign, they have a fixed number of randomly determined historical missions. Yeah, where the fuck's the fixed number, dude? Give me a hand here. Is it just 6? And I think that's actually the thing. So let's do this. Let's do it as if there's 6 missions in stage 1. Gives me a lot of variance. Gives me some options here. If I've got to do 6 missions, I kind of don't want to use this shit up, right? But let's see what it is. First of all, one issue is, let's see what my points are. So I can get like 5 points maximum off shattering the ground forces. So this is kind of a minor mission compared to like sinking a ship, right? Or blowing up an oil refinery or something like that. Let's see what other kind of missions I have. Ground forces, I've got a docks, I've got a supply depot, and I've got an airfield. Airfield's worth more. I think this is about as shitty as it gets. We had a supply depot, a little bit more. Docks, fairly high. Port facilities, is that what we had here? No, just docks. I think this is about as minor a mission as I can have. Now, I can try to screw with the enemy, but I think that's very, very unlikely. I'm going to give a 1 in 6 chance that I try to send a resource with this, now that I know what a shitty mission it is. I don't get that. But here's the thing. Let's look at the British resources. I'm in stage 1. I got to do 6 missions. I get a... In general, I don't get any aircraft. I doubt I want to compete in this, although maybe I can count on the fact that the Germans aren't going to send anything. I will give them a straight 1 in 6 because picking on planes is worth some points. They get 1. Okay, so their choices are a Hurricane 1 or a Hurricane 1 and small arms. The fuck's up with small arms? What am I going to like shoot them with a pistol? Increase the number of target flak cards drawn against strafing aircraft by 1 when you are defending. Decrease the number of target flak cards drawn against strafing aircraft by 1 when you strike. Okay, so if I took this, this would be a bonus for me. Junkers have a gunner. I've got to pick something as a resource. The Germans do not have to pick a resource. In fact, they chose not to. So, what are we going to do? Well, do we want that bonus against strafing? Junkers 87 isn't really that great a strafing aircraft. It's a dive bomber. 1 in 6, I'll go with the small arms. My other options are just a Hurricane 1. Okay, so I'm going to find myself a Hawker Hurricane, and then we will begin. And what is our ingress egress? We don't know. We have to find that. This was mission number 1 via Balboa, which is going to have an 8-7. Subtract 6, because these are, oh no, these are slow, subtract 5. So, and I would know this. Would I know the plane that's involved? Sure, it's right on the card. So I know that he's going to be going, say, speed 5. He's going to be going speed 5, which means 3 turns ingress, 2 turns egress. We're not playing with any fuel options at this point yet. I want to give things a shot without that. Let me find myself a couple hurricanes and shuffle some cards, and we'll start. Okay, so I shuffled the decks, drew a couple of cards. This is going to be problematic, but screw it, because I need to do some randomizing. I didn't pick the randomized aircrew cards, but I chose my altitudes. I didn't look at my cards yet. I could have chosen altitude based on card, I guess, but I don't know. We'll look at these, and they're the ones who probably are going to have the decision. One interesting thing is that these Junkers, if I'm at high and very high, the Junkers could dive. I set up the turns. It's 3 turns going in, 2 turns coming out, 1 over target, of course. I wrote down what I've got here. Here's the mission, and we got 1 hurricane. I should have actually just marked down the resource number that I'm using. Small arms might make sense to prevent strafing, but again, like I said, I don't think these are particularly good at strafing, so fuck them, let them do it. And the one thing that we got to do, so select an aircraft crew. We're to draw a number of action cards equal to the number of fighters and light bombers flying the mission. Draw for all aircraft of one type before another. And yeah, may reshuffle. Fuck that, man. No way. No fucking way. Not even going to shuffle before I start playing. But where do we look? Yeah, I don't know. There was a chart that I found somewhere. It ain't here. I couldn't find it in here, which is where I actually expected it. This is this gives the list. There we go. Okay, but this is for specific battles. What are we doing? We're doing Rommel attacks. Here it is. Okay. So we have a British. Scissors or clouds. And I guess I do it for every plane. So the wingman could be skilled? No. So I draw 1 for every plane, and then I do the selection. So I'd be drawing 2. And what I need for Rommel attacks is a scissors or clouds. I did not get either. And we'll just ignore those cards because they don't matter. For the Germans, I have other. Right? This is a light bomber, so it is an other. Rommel attacks, German other, out of the sun, and ace pilot would give me 1. Didn't get either. Now, it could kind of be a fuck up if the ace pilot or something comes up, because there aren't a lot of them in the deck. But normally I should do this before I set up the flight. All right. I've got this set, I've got that set. Let me put this aside because I don't really need it. Put this aside because I don't have any of these resources. We're here. I think he just chooses his altitude before he draws his cards, but these guys get to choose after. So let me see what I got. I'm going to want a draw before I do anything. Okay, we roll to see who goes first. Odd, we'll let the Brits go first. Even. So they're number 1. They're number 2. Germans get to go first. I'm at high altitude. I can't be touched. First of all, my wingman can't do anything. Over here. Because I'm the first player in the phase, right? I don't know. Maybe that's changed here. So let's take a look to see if these are different. Wingman step, if you're at the same altitude, exception on first turn only, exception on first turn. Yeah, okay, so we still do this. All right. I don't need to use dice to keep track of turns because now I have this track, which is actually a useful thing. I remember this was one of the cool things with 8th Air Force when my buddy got it, was that like, oh cool. Now we can keep track of turns without having to write it down or something. So he has to go first with his plane. Well, he does get to look at his cards here. I have a pretty good hand. Limitations on light bombers. Don't remember them. Know they exist. Don't remember them. Let's take a look at them. Not finding them. And I'm well past. Flip some more. Light bombers. Offensive rating +1 when formation. Alright, I'm not seeing it. Cannot attack enemy fighters that are not carrying ordnance unless they begin their turn engaged. I thought they had some other issue against them. Like in terms of cards that I can use. So here's the key thing. I cannot attack enemy fighters that are not carrying ordnance unless I begin my turn engaged. I've got to keep going. I can't dogfight. If I do dogfight, that's one thing. I really thought that there was a penalty. Oh, I should have some bombs. On board. I am loaded. Loaded is an issue. This is the problem. When drawing an initial hand for the leader carrying, place face down under the aircraft without examining it. I can't look at this. Okay, I can't make any decisions. Until your leader is attacked by an enemy, play an attack card that is not negated by escort. You may not look at these cards. Loaded aircraft cannot attack unloaded. Loaded leaders and wingmen cannot play half-loop, scissors, or full throttle, including during an airstrike step. Loaded wingmen have their offensive halved. This is what I was looking at. Okay. I think my best move is to dive down to medium. I have to get low in order to dive bomb anyway. That does get me an extra card. Pretend I didn't look at those cards. I'm not able to discard or anything anyway. But I clearly want to dive. Even though I had a handful of damage, if I do get engaged, it could be an issue. And now we go over to these guys. Well, now I'm up at very high. I'm nowhere near them. My wingman doesn't get to do shit. I drop down to high. I get an extra card. I am allowed to discard and to pay attention. So what do we have here? Well, double barrel roll, scissors. I don't have any fucking maneuvers except for this, which is actually powerful. Half loop is very powerful. So, la la la. I am allowed a 5-card hand. If I discard, it's going to slow me down. I'm at high. I would only be drawing 1. I will keep my hand as it is. That's the end. We go to turn 2. Okay. Back over here. Still not allowed to look at anything. I'm going to be at low when I go over target, so I might as well dive some more and get another card. Comes back over here. Well, we don't have many options. We dive, we get another card. We liked what we had, so we keep going. Should not have started it very high. It was a mistake. If I got the but here's the thing, I didn't have a great hand to begin with. So we hit here. We don't take the flak yet. We only take it if we're going over. We're back on him. He can't keep diving. He's got to be at low over target to do a dive bomb, and that's what we want to do. So I will stay where I am. I can't engage the enemy, and I can't play with my cards. So we hit him. We drop down to low. We get yet another card, and oh boy do we have a lot of combat in our hand. Altitude comes after the wingman step, so I don't get to do shit with my wingman. But I do get to fuck around. Alright. So I am going to pick him and half loop him. Now he gets his cards. His wing's not involved in this. What counters a half loop? Not this. An ace pilot would counter a half loop. Is it worth blowing my ace pilot for this? I think so. I don't have anything that'll counter an ace pilot. I think the only thing that counters it is an ace pilot. So, that was one maneuver attempt. I don't have any additional maneuvers except the scissors. I'm not in a position where the scissors helps me. I could fire a one burst in my sights. Sure. Maybe I don't go over target. And in my sights, okay, what can I do against in my sights? Barrel roll seems like a good choice against it. I have a barrel roll to counter that. Now, I'm loaded. Wait, what am I not allowed to do when I'm loaded? Can't play half loop scissors or full throttle. I am allowed to play multiple cards though. So if I had something that counters a barrel roll, I could do so. Not this. Not that. So I'm hit. It's a pretty minor hit, so we just take it. We might have wanted to anyway. This is not his turn. I don't have any other cards that are of any use that I can play. I can't play this other in my sights. I've used up all my bursts, right? Where's my bursts? I have a 1. So, I've got 5 cards. I'm not allowed to draw anymore unless I discard. I'll discard these 3 cards. No, not 3 cards. I only have a 2 horsepower. I'll discard these 2 cards, keep it in my sights. I'm not going to look at what I have because that might make some choices. Now we're at the final phase, final step of this of before over target. Fighters determine if they break off or continue over target. Do I want to pursue him over target to prevent him from hitting ground forces? You know, not really. I'm going to take my chance here. I do have a maneuver card. I have a vertical roll, which isn't going to help me at all. I have a maneuver card, which might help me a little bit. I'm going to break off. That doesn't get me out of the fight. There's some break-offs somewhere. I don't know what they're on. There are markers for breaking off. Braving the flak. Let me, I could be tight or loose. Great. I don't know where they are. Are they on the other side of full throttles, maybe? I don't know what I'm going to look for them. I think it's these over targets that I'm considering. So they're going over the target. They are not. I'll get rid of this because it isn't doing what I expected. I don't know if I get to play with my cards on an over target turn. But these guys going over target does mean that I suffer area flak. So we look at area flak is 0. Okay, no biggie. Should I go in? I don't know. When did I choose? I choose right now. I might want to go too. I can't do much to him. I guess it depends on what happens if I break off. If I break off, do I get to fiddle with my cards? Yes, I do. Yes, I do get to fiddle with my cards because some of his planes could have broken off and then I'm allowed to engage them. So, okay, yeah, I break off. All right, we move here to the over target turn. This is where it gets exciting, right? We thought it was going to get exciting already. All right, these two planes have nothing they can do to each other. For the bombers, we have to do the airstrike step. And I am allowed to strafe as well. I don't have a strafe rating though, so I think I'm not an attack bomber. Yeah, I'm not a medium anyway. And I'm not counting on strafing. Okay. Just to make things easy. So let's try bombing because for the most part we're trying to do this. Now let me see the sequence. Over target phase. Not the right thing. That's for campaigns, right? I don't know. That's just for missions. Okay. Over target turn. During this turn, loaded fighters and light bombers at the correct altitude for their bombing modes strike the mission target. They must give up position at the beginning if they're advantage or tailing. They can't play cards during wingman or leader steps, and they may play only one card from their hand in response to an enemy attack. Whether or not they strike the target at all, formation aircraft strike the mission, and then the break-off rejoins. Okay. Where is bombing? It's got to be earlier than this. The fuck? Like, that shouldn't be in campaign. Striking mission target. See, the whole thing is the mission target striking includes, like, the break-off and all that. So if you're not playing with that, first of all, the campaign is the only structure that allows for these in general. But, I mean, you could throw a scenario together. Strike during airstrike phase, wingman first. Okay. We're at the right altitude. We're allowed to dive in order to make our strike, though. And so we're doing a dive bombing strike. That does not get us a card. Draw a number of action cards equal to the aircraft's bomb rating. Modified by bombing mode 21.2. We are dive bombing. That doesn't help. Down here. Medium or low. Oh, we could have done it at medium. During the altitude stuff, a dive bombing unit must dive to the next lower altitude from medium to low. If the bombing leader is disadvantaged or tailed, the engaged enemy leader may not follow unless agile. Draw a number of cards equal to the bomb rating. Plus, we're going to be at very low, so we get 2 additional bomb cards. So we have 1, 2, 3 bomb cards. This is our wing attacking here. So it's this one here. Oops. I hit the leader, not the wing. Okay, so this is what I've got. Now what? I got these hits and misses. I don't remember what I do. How do I bomb? What do I do? 22.21. 22? That's flak. Oh, fuck me. I don't know what the fuck I do. I draw a number of cards. The bomb results section of each card indicates the damage. There are 4 possible: miss, hit, direct, and vital. So I've got 2 misses and a single hit. The defender gets action cards equal to the target flak rating shown on the applicable mission card, again modified by the bombing mode and the altitude. Dive bombing, flak cards at very low, 1+ target, but not out of the sun. 1+ target? Oh, target bombing, +1 target. Okay. So my flak area was 1. And I get an additional 1. And now I look at these. I have no spoil attacks, but I do have some I do have an in my sights, which does 2 bursts on the wingman. Actually, it does an engine hit, single hit engine destroyed, or 6 hits if multi-engine. This is very, very bad. I probably don't want that to happen. I probably want my plane to survive more than the 1 hit on the ground forces, which, you know, might get me a victory point. This would destroy my plane. So how do I defend against this? Well, I believe I get a mini hand, but to defend myself. The defending player draws action cards equal to the target flak rating shown on the available. Potentially inflict hits, and for each spoiled attack, yeah, let's go to flak. I think I get a hand drawn now because I was hit, and hit bad. Formation aircraft cannot respond. Fighters and light bombers striking may play a response card. This isn't in my sights, not in out of the sun. Once an in my sights or out of the sun is drawn against striking wingman, draw its normal defensive mini hand with which to respond. Now, I thought I got extra cards. That's for striking bombers. So my defense is a 1, but I'm at very low. Somewhere there should be a modifier for levels, like there's here level modifiers or whatever, that tells me the thing that I'm looking up here, which is what do my ratings change by being at this altitude? It's hard to remember. At medium and below, combat ratings are the same for the wingman. It's different for that. So I get 1 card to defend against that. I get it in my sights. That's not going to do anything. He didn't spoil any attacks, but had I played a card to defend, I would have to discard a hit. I'm going to put a hit on here to remind me. And the wingman is destroyed. Now he spent his bomb. We'll be spending that other bomb as well, but the wingman's destroyed. That's like 5 victory points right there. That's what I can get from destroying this. So it worked out pretty well to attack them. I would have gotten this result without committing any resources, right? Because he's not allowed to fiddle with his cards on his way in. What are these? This was the bomb run. You know, I don't know. He may have been... No, he gets his mini hand on top of that. Yeah, the bombs are drawn separately. So here, I get 1 bomb plus 2. I get 3 cards for my bombing. Here it comes. A hit and a direct. Now what does a direct do? I don't know. What does a direct fucking do? It's like playing a solo game, having to look up all this shit. I don't know what a direct does. Flak, flak, flak. I don't know. It's not going to be under flak. It's going to be under bombing. Striking mission targets. Resolution. Yeah, but it's not telling me how many hits I get. A damage point section showing the effects of each bomb card resolve. That should be here. See, damage points here. Ah, I got you. Direct us too. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so I've got 3 more hits coming in. That'll go up to disrupted, which is 3 points, unless something can be stopped. What's the flak here? The flak is 1 or +1 to the normal flak. My normal flak would be 1, so I get 2 flak cards. I didn't spoil any attacks. I got a 2 burst that does 3 hits on this thing. Okay. I throw something away if I try to evade that. You reduce your best remaining bomb or strafe card by 1 level. Let's look at my hand. Do I have anything that prevents an in my sights that I'm allowed to play? I have a tight turn. I have a full throttle. I know I can't play that. I have a tight turn. Maybe I can play that. So we go back in the rules looking for what are we not allowed to play when loaded, which again, this should all be on some sort of player aid, right? I mean, they put a lot of resources into this game, but it feels to me that, like, for example, they put too many of these campaign cards in when they could have replaced the duplicates of campaign cards with a player with an additional player aid. Same kind of stock and everything. It just seems like there are options because you can't write on them. I tried with a China marker, and yeah, I can erase it with spit, but it's not something I want to do, and it's obviously not the intention. So we keep flipping through the rules because that's what we do when we're trying to play a game. That's what a game is about, right? And we just keep flipping through the rules, looking for loaded aircraft. There we go. Now we're there, and now we look for what are we not allowed to do. Now, we don't need to. This says not loaded. So full throttle can't be done, half loop can't be done, but tight turn can. I'm going to play the in my sights card to cancel out, or the tight turn to cancel out the in my sights. This is not allowed to respond. You can't tight turn a gun. So I cancel out its hit, but I have a penalty for that, which is this has been reduced from a direct to a hit, so I only do 2 more hits, getting me to 3, which is only worth 1 victory point, but I've evaded that bit of nastiness. Now, I think this is my hand. I should have a hand. On the over target, every surviving formation aircraft strikes the mission target and is subject to target flak. Then attack every aircraft over target with area flak. But the area flak for this is 0, so we don't take any. Remove over target markers and determine results for each surviving reconnaissance mission. Doesn't matter. We chose not to strafe. We're no longer loaded. These are clouds or something. And we come out to here. We're at very low altitude. We've got to make it home. We're not damaged, so our turns don't get extended. We have a 3-card hand. If I climb, I have to throw a card. I think I just keep flying at low altitude and grab a card. So far I'm losing this mission. Get to him. I got a wingman. The wingman can't do shit. That is so often the case in this game. I have 5 cards I'm going to drop to very low so that I can interact. I get another card. And what do? You can do some bouncy stuff with these, where you do something like, you can't do this. I don't know what this means. Yeah, I don't know what that means. It's like no airplanes can do this. What you can do with this is you can climb a level that forces a discard. And then, well, you can climb a level during your altitude change phase and then play this to drop down and get into a level where you can position and make an attack, getting an extra card. So you can essentially discard a crappy card from a crappy hand. This doesn't help. Maneuver does. I'm going to maneuver him. I have a full throttle. I'm allowed to do this now because I'm no longer loaded. Dude. I will full throttle his full throttle. I don't have an additional response to that. So position is now like this. I don't have much. I'll shoot a shot at him in my sights. Only thing he can do is vertical roll against it. I will vertical roll his vertical roll. I want to find out what this no is. It's not on the response side, so it's not going to affect stuff. But I really don't know what this means. Let me see if I can find that. I don't think. Uh-oh, I'm out of battery. Try to look this up. The first thing I do is I look here for vertical roll. It's not in there. So my only thought is here. Under responses, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say what this no to aircraft is. That may mean no formation aircraft. It may mean something else. So now I start hunting through here. So maybe formation aircraft tells me something. Well, it's not going to say it there, is it? So I don't know where it's going to be. I'm hoping to just run into it, but that's not going to happen. So I guess I'll look for a pipe, see if the internet's working. Not that that matters too much because I got to come back down. I'm in the midst of this, but yeah, I don't fucking know. The internet is working, so I'm not going to actually spend the time to look it up. I'm going to just assume it's meaningless for this situation. So I got a burst that causes a hit on this plane. I got nothing else I can do. I've worn out his cards completely. These are my own cards. I have horsepower of 2. I get 2 cards back. I may get more. So I look up the height again, which I think was over here. Maybe it wasn't. That's ceiling, that's why I thought it was there. I keep flipping. Altitude effects on ratings, add 1 to horsepower, I get a 3rd card. I am allowed to have 5. Hold on. Yes, I'm allowed to have 1 more card. Wow, a handful of fucking defense, just what I needed. Well, maybe my wingman will hit him. End of action. There's no fire on this. Last turn of the game. We're going to fight 1 more round. This guy's got no cards. He's at very low altitude. I'm not allowed to climb. I'm advantaged. I will draw a card for my horsepower. I'm allowed to draw 2 cards, and that's all I can do. Come back over here. Wingman gets to go. Wingman has an offensive of 1, and we go back here. We look at the altitude. At medium and below, combat ratings are the same. Great. So we draw 1 offensive card for our wingman. What does he do? He will maneuver me. Can I counter that? Yeah. He doesn't have a counter to my counter. He only had 1 card after all. So that's that. Now I go to my main. Obviously I wasn't going to change altitude. I need to keep him on there. We're tailing him now. There's not a hell of a lot I can do, but I can damage him. Got something that stops in my sights? You do. You have a barrel roll. I have a barrel roll to counter it. 2 more hits on this plane. It's damaged. Battle's over, because we're on the end of the last turn. What do? We move the rule book. We pick this up. And what have we gotten in points? We've gotten 5, 6, 7 for damage and crippling. So I'm going to put that as -7 for that. But over here, it was 3 points. So that's 1 and -7. So right now there's a 6-point advantage for the Brits. They managed, though, to use up their hurricanes. One of their 3 resources, one of the 3 things that they're allowed to intervene in. Was it worth it? What the Hurricanes managed was the 2 points for this. The flak took that out. So I would say no. But there you have it. That's the end of one mission. Trying to keep track of fuel on such a short mission wouldn't make a lot of sense anyway. As long as we're looking at little numbers like these, I don't think tracking fuel is that valuable. Might as well. Now, okay. Except that fuel is so big. I think that may have been part of his hand. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It wasn't anything he could do. Well, he could have done the half loop. Oh well. Screw me. That's a difference of 2 points perhaps, because he might not have been damaged. Yeah, he would have. That was a 1 point in my sights. We were going to get the same result. So, what kind of fuel would this plane have? Well, that's an interesting question. And I don't know if we have an answer for that. Let's take a look at the fuel. and where you fucking find it. Interceptor fuel. That doesn't help. Fighters and fuel. After determining the mission, record the mission number, type of fighter and target. Record the number of fuel points carried at the start on the internal as appropriate. As appropriate. Yeah, okay, thanks. I'm assuming that there's some sort of resource that tells me how much fuel I have, but it may only be present in the scenarios. Like, it may be part of this. It may indicate how much fuel I have, in which case it's almost impossible to use the fuel rules for this, even if you wanted to. But the fact that it cost me well, these guys don't count. They're not escorts. They're bombers. They're fine. And these guys would have been using, I think it was 3 fuel per turn, which over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns would be 18 fuel. They could probably carry that, but they might have been loaded at the beginning of the scenario. And you can see this. So like the Spitfires, which maybe are close to the Hurricanes, they've got written down here, drop tanks hold 10, internal fuel only holds 8. So I would have had barely enough to make it to the end of the scenario. I would have had to do a fuel disengagement at the end of the scenario. And you know, it just, yeah, whatever. But I really don't think that there's a resource that tells you how much fuel each plane has. Like, the different planes aren't spelled out anywhere. So the only thing I can think of is that it's spelled out in the campaign scenarios, and you could kind of intuit it from the campaign scenarios. But the truth of the matter is, these guys would have had a hard time keeping up the whole fight. They may have gotten a cheaper run, because if we look at interceptor fuel, it's 3 per turn. That's 18 points. That would have used up those Spitfires. I'm presuming that the Hurricane doesn't carry a hell of a lot more fuel. And we look at some of these others. The P-47s are carrying 20 internal fuel, but those guys are beasts. So anyway, that is that. And that is the first of 6 campaign missions, 3 of which will have no intervention by the Brits, by the way I'm interpreting this. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know.